What is all my spectacular spider spectacular spec powers here? Call me Mr. Nightmare, Mr. Scary Reactor, or whatever, because it's time for my, or maybe Boy Scout Reactor or Campout Stories Reactor, because it's time for my live reaction to 3 creepy true Boy Scout Campout horror stories. It was uploaded by Mr. Nightmare how many days ago? I was in upstate New York, not almost a month ago at the time I was recording in July 20th. Alright. Not even a month has passed since this episode was born. A video. So yeah, here we go. Let's react. I bet you anything, one of them's gonna be like Friday the 13th themed. And that glitch is happening again. Does anybody know what this glitch is? You know... Alright, it'll pass, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this. Alright, here we go. And I'm gonna...
This experience happened many years ago. I'm 23
I'll talk about
now,
it later.
but I grew up a scout. I started with the Cub Scouts, then transitioned to the Boy Scouts, and eventually earned the accomplishment of becoming an Eagle Scout. Throughout my years as a scout, I've been on countless campouts.
I was a Cub
Many
Scout,
friends
but
came and went as kids quit the Scouts.
I was forced to
throughout
drop
the years.
out
But
because
one
my dad
friend
was
who stuck
busy.
it through the whole way with me was Justin.
He was
Me and
involved
Justin
with
were
it.
in the same grade, and we were close
He was the one
friends.
who would be able to take me. Alright.
At the time of this experience, we were both going to be entering 10th grade, 15 years old.
I'm going to 10th grade myself.
I honestly don't even remember what park we were camping out at.
Wow, what is that, a camper? In the map?
As soon as everybody had arrived, Scoutmaster Davis led the group on our hike to the campsite. After setting up our tents and having a quick snack, Scoutmaster Davis led us on another hike as the sun was starting to set. He liked to take us on hikes in the dark, as he thought it taught good directional skills. On the way back, we had to use our flashlights since it was getting too dark. Mr. Davis played a little game to mess with the younger kids, acting like we were lost, and they had to find the way back.
Bloody murder?
He had one of the younger kids start to lead the way back, but the kid soon froze in his tracks and looked to Mr. Davis, claiming he heard something.
What?
Mr. Davis acted all forest rangery, stepping forward and making a listening motion. Me and Justin laughed out loud, and he shushed us. There was another sound, a very obvious step from a larger creature in the distance.
Creature?
Kids were shining their flashlights all over the place.
Creeper from Scooby-Doo.
Mr. Davis assured us it's okay as long as we make a lot of noise to keep any potential predators away. I got in.
I'm freaking out now.
It was a bit scary hearing him say that. Mr. Davis led the way back from there on out. But on several occasions, either me, Justin, or some other kid would point out steps coming from behind us. Clearly something was following us.
Jason Voorhees.
Mr. Davis told us to just stay with the group and not to refrain from making noise. We got back to the campsite where we cooked a couple turkeys, popped open a few cans of corn,
yeah, yummy.
At the campfire where Mr. Davis began telling his famous stories.
Famous stories, maybe
However,
infamous.
It was interrupted by footsteps circling around the campfire. Scouts started turning around, looking into the woods. Even the scoutmasters looked at each other.
Woo.
Assistant Scoutmaster Roberts hopped up, said, "All right, this'll scare him off."
What?
And went for the gun in his tent.
He
pulled out his rifle and
is he gonna actually do?
The air.
Oh God!
We didn't hear any more footsteps.
All right, just one.
After a whole hour of listening to Mr. Davis's stories,
what stories?
Heading to their tents.
Obviously.
Me and Justin were in the same tent, and knowing how early the Scoutmasters made us get up, we didn't really joke around for too long.
Alright.
The only sounds now were the crickets and the crackling of the fire outside.
Crickets, obviously.
I fell asleep quickly,
it's a camp
given
area.
how exhausted I was from all the hiking, but woke up to Justin nudging me. When my senses came to, I listened, and heard footsteps coming from outside the tent. The campfire was still lit outside, and it created a glow on the tent walls. But it also allowed us to see the shadow outline of what was outside. A person.
Yeah, I
whispered, "So what? It's probably someone just going to take."
Do they have a machete or a knife?
He told me to open the zipper and peek outside. I did what he said, and to my horror, there was some heavy-built man with a sack over his head and a ripped working shirt, very clearly holding a big knife. He was walking around some of the other tents.
God!
I zipped the opening back.
Jason Voorhees, people.
Be quiet. We had no phones or anything.
Oh!
So we couldn't call one of the Scoutmasters. All we could do was wait. We couldn't tell if or when the man had left. We just sat there for what felt like hours, waiting, and eventually we fell asleep. awoke to one of the Scoutmasters blowing that stupid wake-up horn. Me and Justin were surprised that we even fell asleep given the situation, but we immediately went to go tell our Scoutmasters what we saw. All three of them took our claims very seriously and wanted to make sure we weren't joking. They had no choice but to tell everyone to pack up and call their parents to get a ride home within 3 hours. Now this is the really weird part. Two of the younger kids in the group had their entire bags stolen, which mainly contained their clothing. When the Scoutmasters went to investigate around their tents, we were all disturbed to see that there had been tiny holes carved into the tents, big enough for someone to look into. And that's exactly what the holes were for. The Scoutmasters reported the incident to the town in which the park resides. It still horrifies me, given how real the situation was for me, that somebody literally followed us into the middle of the woods, spied on two 11 or 12-year-old kids while they slept, stole their clothes, and did whatever else. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but the incident overall hurt the group, as some parents refused to allow their kids to go on any more campouts. It's sad that some sick people out there can really ruin things for a lot of other people.
Of course they can.
I'm a 15-year-old Boy Scout from Houston, Texas.
Oh,
My troop
never
flew
been
us
there.
out to Denver, Colorado, and we drove to a camp called Camp Alexander, about 45 minutes away from Colorado Springs. Me and 4 other people in our troop were participating in the high adventure program that the camp offers. This basically means that we were doing things like climbing mountains and white water rafting. Obviously. 4 days into our trip and nothing has happened to us.
4 days, oh.
We set up our tents next to the Arkansas River, as we would be rafting in it the next day.
Never been to Arkansas either.
I sleep very poorly in sleeping bags, and had been waking up covered in sweat every night, and that night was no different. I woke up with my face in a puddle of drool and sweating all over my body. I checked my watch, and it was around 3:45 a.m. I decided that it would be best for me to step out of my tent for a while and cool down. I put on a shirt and shorts and unzipped my tent. The way my tent was positioned, the opening was facing towards the river, and I immediately noticed that there was someone standing in the middle of the river facing downstream. The water was about waist high and 30 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and whoever was standing in there didn't have a shirt on, so I was extremely confused. After a moment of staring, I realized that I knew this person. He was my friend, who I'll be referring to as Dalton for privacy reasons. I called out for him 2 times before he finally moved. He looked right at me, and then he looked around as if he were processing the situation. He yelled at me, "What the fuck?" He ran back to the shore as fast as he could.
Alright.
I grabbed him a towel and shirt and asked him what the hell he was doing in the middle of the river at 4 in the morning. He answered saying that he didn't know, and that he had just woken up to me yelling at him in the middle of the river. I don't know how he got there, or if he sleepwalked or something like that, but it was seriously creepy. Nobody believed us in the morning, and we just decided to forget about it. Dalton said he had never sleepwalked before or anything like that, so I have no idea why or how he would have gotten into that river. All I know is if I didn't wake up that night and get out of the tents, my friend Dalton might have been dead come morning time.
Not good. Don't think about stuff like that, people.
This is going to be a brief, horrifying, 100% true story of mine. I was 13 years old and one of the quieter kids in my Boy Scout troop.
I'm 2 years older than you, bud.
I'm not totally a shy person, but I couldn't really relate to any of the kids in my Boy Scout group. We were on our last camp out of the 2008 camping season. It was in October, and it was a little chilly, making our many hikes a little more bearable. This was the last camp out of my life, and you'll soon know why.
Never say never, maybe I'll have a kid.
Hikes, I was trailing behind the group as I usually did. I had this sudden urge to pee, so I let the group get a little further ahead, and then went behind a tree. I almost had a heart attack as something made a heavy thud on the ground not too far away from me. It didn't sound like a stick or branch falling, it sounded like something putting its foot down into the leaves. I didn't know what to think. All I know is I was freaked out. I ran to catch up to the group. I had no idea what just happened, so I didn't want to tell anybody about it.
Dude, I would do that.
I'll skip ahead to that night when I was trying to fall asleep. I had my own tent, as did some of the other kids in our tiny little troop, so I tried to go to sleep right away. A strange noise soon interrupted the silence, however. It sounded like breathing coming from a phone or something, and it seemed to be coming from inside my bag. After digging through my bag, I pulled out a big, heavy walkie-talkie. The only thing, I didn't bring or own that. Suddenly, in a deep, almost muffled voice, someone said into the walkie-talkie, "I'm watching you, kid." I pressed down the talk button and said, "Who is this?" One of the other kids were clearly pranking me. There was no response, only this sudden static. "Is this Mike?" There was silence. And then, "I'm right outside your tent." The fabric of the tent suddenly started pushing in on me as something from outside was pushing into it. I screamed like a baby, and that's when whoever was outside ran into the woods. 2 of my scoutmasters came rushing into the tent. I could barely even breathe, but I somehow managed to show them the walkie-talkie and explain what just happened. They lectured the kids for a few minutes, thinking it was one of them messing with me, but when I calmed down, I stepped in and told them that the voice was way too deep for it to have been any of them. We were all forced to share tents with 2 others that night, and the next day we packed up and moved to a nearby campsite with another Boy Scout troop. I really don't know what they did with the walkie-talkie. I was emotionally disturbed, embarrassed, and I just wanted to go home. One of the counselors, the troops. I convinced my parents to let me quit Boy Scouts after that incident. It was by far the scariest experience of my life.
Okay. Alright, so that was a really creepy story. That's one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard in my life so far. I mean, I'm gonna be reacting to more Mr. Nightmare stories and obviously more Campout stories from, especially from him when they come in the future. I still plan to make videos when I'm like an old guy. I'll still do reaction videos at then. But for now, my major thing in this channel is TWD, Walking Dead, and acting stuff, I guess, people. So back to the subject of this video. Third one is one of the most creepiest. I thought the first one was the most gonna be the most creepiest out of the 3, but the third one really got me. Usually the second movie in a trilogy is usually the best, and the second story in like this kind of trilogy, since it's 3 stories in a video, it's not really the best one. In my opinion, in all honesty. I'm pretty sure most of you, at least a quarter of you in the United States, would agree with me. I've never camped out with a Boy Scout troop. I did used to do Cub Scouts, and I never got to the Boy Scouts or the neither the Eagle Scouts. My dad did. I could still do it, like as a teenager, but my dad was too busy and stuff, and I want to be an actor. It wasn't my decision to drop out. Just so you know. But yeah, some little Jason similarity. Jason, anybody? Story 1? Jason Sack from part 2? Coincidence? I think not, people. So yeah, it's really creepy. For some reason I feel like the person in the mic through the walkie-talkie in the last story, I just have a feeling he just looked like Jack the Ripper from Assassin's Creed. I just had a feeling. They're outside the tent. Nobody's ever stalked me, people. Never in my life. Hopefully never, ever. Not even to any of my children. Well, anyway, I gotta move on and do other videos. I even gotta do a vlog. We're gonna do a video talking about what I did this past school year before the next school year starts. Yeah, it's summer's already halfway through. People, enjoy it while you can. Yes, yeah, almost halfway through. Better swim in my pool, or whatever. Yeah, I'm serious about that. All right, so yeah, see you soon. Please rate, favorite, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you people in the next video. Bye, everybody. See you later.